Hi, this is Julie Lubinsky. I am the web manager for the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation, and I'd like to welcome you all to this month's live web chat with Dr. Dan. Dr. Dan has been a practicing psychologist and family therapist since 1969, and he's been living with SCI since 1979. He is a regular in our Reeve Foundation online paralysis community, posting and answering your questions with his Dr. Dan on well-being discussion. Now I'd like to bring in Dr. Dan. Hey, Dr. Dan.
Hey, Julie. How are you today?
I'm doing very well.
And to all of you who are listening, this thing works very well if you join us. Come in with your questions or comments or just something you want to talk about, something that's on your mind, even if it's not related to love. So really like to hear from you. So, Julie, we're talking about love, and I quoted Andrew Lloyd Webber, in the chat box down there, because love found really does change our lives, and especially the romantic love. It always seems to come out of nowhere. I think every person I was romantically in love with, it came out of nowhere. It was unpredictable. How about you?
Yeah, pretty much unpredictable, and definitely found my spouse at a time when I wasn't even looking.
Yeah, me too. You hear that a lot, don't you?
Yeah.
So, this out of nowhere business begins, I got thinking about it when my friend Manny years ago was telling me a story about how a colleague of hers, she was a teacher, a colleague of hers was so upset because her husband announced he was leaving the marriage. And the friend said, and it came out of nowhere. Well, stuff like that rarely comes out of nowhere. But nevertheless, I got hung up on that phrase. It came out of nowhere, So my mind flashed to my accident in 1979. And as you know, Julie, and several others do also, that it was caused when a truck tire broke off an 18-wheel truck and bounced across the highway. And all I remember from that accident is seeing this big black thing in the sky. Well, that came out of nowhere, right? And I think I thought of, when my sister started getting headaches, and turned out it was a brain tumor, and that came out of nowhere. On the other hand, meeting my wife at the time came out of nowhere, and losing her came out of nowhere, and falling in love with my current, I don't know what to call her, lover, girlfriend, significant other, that really came out of nowhere and changed my life completely. So, but, my divorce, it was crushing to me. Here we were, two kids who promised to love each other forever. And here's where we were. And this is what I see in my office every day, of course, that love betrayed, love broken, love ending can be life-altering. And I'm not just talking about the mechanics of it, the finances, I'm talking about what it does to our hearts. What can we trust ourselves again? We thought it was there and it's gone. that quickly, like a cloud. Just you try to grab it and it's not there. So, this business of love is really quite simple. It sustains our lives. We can't live without it. And it does seem so complex. That when we have it, it just feels rock solid. And then it doesn't. And then it doesn't. So, what's your experience, Julie, with love? Have you had your heart broken?
Oh my goodness, yes.
Boy, it didn't take you long to answer that. From a long-term relationship?
From just a high school relationship. I found my husband in college, so I've been lucky.
Yeah, yeah, you were lucky. So, so here's the reality of it. I said, when I was introducing this topic on the discussion, on the well-being discussion, I commented about the Beatles. When they said love is all you need, and I said they were young, I was young. It was the '60s. We thought it was true. Peace and love. And, it was the '60s, so we said peace and love, but, it also included, protests, drugs, and sex. So it's more than that, isn't it? See, a child without love dies. We need it to survive, and the more we love, the more love we have in our lives, the greater well-being we have. And the more people we are able to love, the happier we are in life. But there's something actually beyond love, Julie, and I mean, it's called well-being. It's called thriving. Arianna Huffington wrote a book called Thriving. It's way beyond just, I say just in quotes, love. Thriving is critical. It's a sense of everything being okay. It's a sense of having meaning in your life and feeling grateful. It's a sense of being happy with who you are, no matter what. So, love is a part of thriving. But, thriving is when you take a look at your life and you're able to say, this is good. This is something I cherish and I'm grateful for. That's beyond love. And it's more difficult. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes.
Joel?
Yes. Sorry, I didn't say it loud enough.
Yeah, you can't leave me here because
Here.
Nobody wants to jump in and join the conversation so far.
Yeah. So I'm going to have to remind people that if they want to join us on the audio call, they're more than welcome to dial star 1, and the Ready Talk operator will put you right through. Or you may join in the conversation in our chat box down below on your left-hand side of the web part.
Yeah, and I don't know, if you're aware of this. I really don't prepare a lecture because these web chats are just that. They're chats, and you came for a reason. You're committing an hour of your time, and like all of us, time is precious. So I really would love to hear from you here why you're joining this conversation. Um, you know, where love fits into your life if it does. So, I really would like to hear from you. Julie, what about this thriving thing we're talking about now? Do you experience that in your life?
Repeat that again. The thriving?
Thriving. Do you experience thriving in your life?
Yes.
You do. How much
Like,
so? How so? How would you describe the experience?
the experience of thriving?
Yeah.
I think by not recognizing, but seeing others who may not be thriving, I recognize that I am in the ways that others are not.
Huh. Yeah. Julia Ariana Huffington says thriving addresses several areas like physical, emotional, social, psychological. But she says it involves wisdom, of course, but an appreciation of wonder and being able to bring purpose and compassion into your life. But that's so critical, an appreciation of wonder. I remember my daughter was in therapy many, many years ago. And after a year, she was doing better. She quit therapy. And I asked her why. And she said, she said, I feel 75% better. She said, but I don't want to think about and talk about and work on what's not right with me. I want to nurture what's right with me. So I think that's what Huffington is trying to address here is when we talk about an appreciation of wonder, it's the ability to look outside and experience awe. And most of us, most of the time, are looking inside, and that internal chatter is all stories about ourselves. Our past, our future, fantasies, emotions, anger, anxiety. So, awe, wonder is about just getting outside of yourself and experiencing your life as it is. As it is. And that alone will increase compassion in your life. So we got a comment from one of our viewers who says, and I don't know if I've got your permission to use your name, so I won't. How do you get someone to look past your SCI? Because that's the first step in love, I believe. I would challenge you first from personal and professional experience. And I'd like you to answer me in the chat. Are you able to look past your own SCI? Because very often we can't do it. We're the ones that are preoccupied with how we appear, how we might look to others. Because, look, it's funny, I'm giving a lecture next week in New York on inclusion. And, I talk about inclusion, prejudice, discrimination. They're natural, they're normal, they're part of our evolutionary genes. We see someone, when we were living in caves, when we saw someone coming around the corner or over that hill who looked different or act different than our tribe, we didn't know if they were coming to hang out with us and be friends, or if they were coming to choose us for lunch. Don't know. So, that's where it's born, right? You look different. We look different. We get along different. We move our limbs different. So people are going to discriminate. Now, hopefully, we've evolved enough to be able to look at someone who's different, like you, like us, and say, oh, it's a person there, and not just a wheelchair. Unfortunately, many people have not, and they still see a wheelchair. A friend of mine said years ago, when I was feeling despair, and she said to me, she was a therapist. I think I've got too many therapist friends. But anyway, she said to me, Dan, she said, like it or not, you're a teacher. What you teach is up to you, but you're a teacher. And in a way that felt like a heavy burden, and I resented it. I don't want to be an effing teacher, But on the other hand, I knew she was right, and I knew I had a responsibility, not just to myself or my community, but I've got a responsibility to you too, to all of my brothers and sisters who are disabled, who are different. So I put a smile on my face. I nod at people. I say good morning. And they see a smile on my face. There's a message that gets conveyed. So when I meet somebody, I'm not even all that aware of my quadriplegia, and very often they are less aware of it. They see it, obviously. But when I talk and engage, I approach people with a curious mind and an open heart. The question in my mind always, when I encounter anybody, what's it like to be you? And when somebody asks me that question, I don't talk about paralysis or bladder infections or pneumonia or any of that crap. Because that's not what it's like to be me. What's it like to be me is to be grateful, to feel fragile, to feel love, to feel anxious and vulnerable, to get triggered by big trucks. That's what it's like to be me. I'm not a bladder or a wheelchair, although there are people that would have suggested that I might be another body part, but that's for a different part of the discussion. So who we are is what's on the inside, not what's on the outside. And when we can convey that, verbally and non-verbally, when we can convey a genuine curiosity about others and an open heart about it, without being judgmental, without trying to prove ourselves, it changes everything. It changes everything. Look, think about you. What's it like for you when someone says, well, tell me about you? What's it like? I mean, it's a great feeling, isn't it? It feels like you're with somebody who cares. Well, I encourage you, you be the one who cares. It changes everything. Now, look, I'm not naive. People are prejudiced, they discriminate. I mean, that joke, that mimicking President Trump did, the reporter with cerebral palsy. I mean, it's still quite pervasive. I mean, that's why I have to give a lecture on inclusion, because we don't include. But we can't control that. We can't control what other people think of us. We can control what we think of us and what we teach to them and how we teach it. So I don't know. I might have gone on too long, but I hope it was helpful. I'm curious to hear your thoughts and curious to hear other people's thoughts. I mean, that's just one man's opinion based on my personal and professional experience. But God knows it's far from it's far from the fact that works for everybody. So I'd love to hear your thoughts and the other people who are with us. I'd love to hear some of your thoughts. But it really is about, what we feel inside is what gets projected outside. Julie, if you're still there.
I am still here.
Yeah.
I would never leave you.
We talked early on about how love sometimes happens when we're not looking for it?
Yes.
Well, when you think about it, when we're not looking for love, that's generally because we're okay with who we are.
Completely agree.
At that moment in our lives. And so that's what comes across. Not a hunger or a desperation or a fear or, just, I'm okay. I'm okay. It's related to that thriving we talked about. Valentine's Day is coming up. So, that's why we're doing this. I have to tell you, usually, I do a lot of homework and research before these web chats. But it's Valentine's Day, so I prepared this time? I bought myself flowers, and I had a really, really good piece of dark chocolate. So I have declared that I am my own Valentine, although there's room in my heart for Joan, my significant other. What do you do on Valentine's Day, Joe? What's it mean to you?
But I hope that my husband brings me home that really, really good dark chocolate you were talking about.
Oh, have him call me. I'll tell him where to order it from.
You bet I will.
Well, I'll tell you now. There's a place in Atlantic City that makes homemade chocolates. And their name is Jakelke's. J-A-K Elkies. I have no idea how to spell Jakelke's. And they order. And I've given that to people who consider themselves chocolate connoisseurs, and they say it's the best chocolate they ever had.
I found it. It's Jagielky.
Yeah.
Ventnor. They have a Ventnor store and a Margate store in New Jersey.
Yep. So I go down there in the summers, and people think I go down there for the beach and boardwalk. I go for Jakelke's. Hey, I also, speaking of beach, Julie, I just took a brief vacation to Florida 2 weeks ago. Yeah, 2 weeks ago. And, the hotel we were staying at was on the beach there on the West Coast. Have you ever been on the West Coast of Florida?
Yes, on the Gulf side, my sister lives there.
Oh, nice. Anyway, for the first time, I saw a beach wheelchair. I mean, I've seen them from a distance before, but one that looked viable for me, because the other beach wheelchairs I saw, had these plastic seats, and I can't sit on that. We can't. Half hour later, we've got skin breakdown. But this had a mesh seat, and the back was so big I could put my Roho cushion on it. And I went down to the water's edge for the first time in 40 years. And I grew up down there. And I just sat there. I cried. And then I just sat there for almost 2 hours, just watching. It was an amazing experience for me. And I talk about gratitude, Julie. Talk about gratitude. Somebody else has joined the discussion who wants to know, is there anyone who can help me with a problem regarding my sister with MS? I know it is not the nurse, but please help. She has clear liquid with diarrhea coming from her bowels. My poor sister is so sad and upset. Because somebody who cares has to clean her up. Yes, sir. Do I need to get medical help? No diarrhea or water now after 1 hour. No pain. Thank you loads for being there. Love from Jenny in Hampshire, England at 8:30 p.m. Well, look, I'm not that kind of doctor. You're right, and I'm not a nurse. My mother used to say, it would be nice if you were a real doctor. But, diarrhea, especially with someone with MS, could be very dangerous and life-threatening. And your sister could very well be dehydrated. So she's going to need fluids. So it's 8:30 p.m. We have a lot of urgent cares around here. So if you have such a thing in Hampshire, I'd like to see you take her there, but call a doctor. I think she might need fluids. And like I said, I'm not a doctor, so I have no idea how urgent it might be. But you know what I'm hearing here is your emotions too. Your I don't know, anxiety, fear, helplessness. I wonder what this is all like for you, because this is. I have to tell you, Jenny. I have to tell you, this was part of my thinking when I wanted to do this web chat on love, because your pain right now, your suffering, is really all about love. Because the greater you love this sister of yours, the greater your pain, your fear, your helplessness. But it's all about love. I say that to spouses of someone who's ill, or parents of children, or adult children of aging parents. It's all about love, and boy, in all of this, sometimes we forget that, that it becomes all about worry. But it's not. It's all about how you love this woman. So I would love to hear from you about what all this is like for you. You've got the phone number, and if you're on the phone, I'd love to hear from you, especially when you're sending me love from Hampshire, England. It's funny. I talked about a lecture I'm giving on inclusion next weekend in New York, but I'm giving a lecture here in South Jersey, a workshop on Saturday for caregivers. And what they go through and the demands they make of themselves, family caregivers. It really is all about love. So, Jenny, I hope that was helpful. Has somebody joined in? Julie?
No.
No. You know what?
Is anybody on the Shauna, do we have anybody on the phone?
No, ma'am, we don't.
Okay, thank you.
You know what that sound was? I was hearing a clicking on my phone. That was somebody calling in on my phone. Probably somebody selling me something. Or someone who's terribly curious about my health insurance or life insurance. We haven't talked about parental love for our children. And I think, Julie, I don't know about you, but that's another case where we get so involved with our anxiety or protectiveness or urgency or whatever we do, that we forget that it's about love. and that love is not urgent. Love is quiet, and it's open, and it's soft, and it's open-armed and open-hearted. You know, it's not about urgency. And boy, if we could hold on to that, the love that is quiet and spacious and open, if we could connect with that when we're raising our children or loving anybody for that matter, hard to do. Are you in that category, like most of us, of parents who worry and fret and...
I try not to be, but yeah, there certainly are times.
Yeah, as soon as somebody says, I try not to be. Yeah, there's your answer. Nice try, Lebinsky.
Listen, I always tell my kids, every time they come to me for something, the first reaction is going to be a mom reaction. And I say to them, I don't know where it comes from. It just starts to happen when you become a mother, or I'm sure a parent of any kind. I said, if you don't like my mom reaction, give me about 10, 15 minutes and come back to me again, and you'll maybe get a human answer.
Good for you. Yeah, I used to say to my kids it was stupid parent talk. We can't control it.
No, we cannot.
No, it's not pretty. You know, and it's funny. I remember, speaking of parental love, I remember my daughter was complained about our neighbor who bullied her. And she came home crying one day on the school bus, and because the neighbor bullied her. So I got on the phone. I got on the phone with the bus company, because the driver should have stopped it. I got on the phone with his parents, and I got on the phone with the school principal. Right? So you think, that's what I should have done as a parent. The next day, Allie came to me, and she was furious at me. She said, why did you do all that stuff? I said, Al, because I love you, and I wanted to protect you, make sure it didn't happen again. Now, she's about 12, 13 years old, and she said, all you did was embarrass me. She said, I just wanted to tell you what happened and to talk to you about it. So, lesson learned, huh? I wasn't acting out of love. I was acting out of protectiveness or anxiety or whatever you want to call it. So, you know, we say it's love, but often it's anxiety. You know, and you know, even in marriages, you know, we say it's love, but whenever we use the phrase, I'm doing this for your own good, you know, it's not. It's not. It never is. It never is. So like I said, your love is quiet. It's silent. Love is chemicals going through our brain that makes us feel as though everything's okay, just as it is right now. Love is about faith, you know, faith that you have the resilience and wisdom to take care of yourself, faith that I'm available and here for you for whatever and whenever you want, faith that should this relationship not go well, that my heart will be broken and I'll survive. But without faith, love has to be in part about faith. It has to be. I forget who said that love is for the domain of the courageous. So, not so much familial love, but certainly romantic love. Julie, in my profession, I hear people say they want to be in a significant romantic relationship because they want more security in their lives. And there's a part of me that laughs. You're not going to get security from a romantic relationship. You will get the illusion. But man, you're at risk here. You fall deeply in love with this other human being without any guarantees. You can promise each other, but all promises are about the future anyway, and you can't promise the future. You can't. So, Julie.
Yes.
What are your thoughts about today's, wait a minute, we've got somebody who's, today's web chat. We're not getting a ton of people.
No, I don't know what happened today. We had a lot registered, but I'm glad that those that did hung out with us for this time, and hopefully they got something out of it.
Yeah, well, and now nobody.
I know, so I guess we should end our phone call.
Yeah. I wonder what happened, Julie, while we're on the phone. Any ideas? Or is this happening with other web chats?
No, our format is actually a bit different than the others, in terms of more engagement. So we will have to regroup and to think about what we can do to improve on getting engagement with the people that do participate. So I will certainly get back to you on that, Dan.
Yeah, please. Please do.
But just because we're being recorded, I'm going to, end this.
Nice talking to you.
Yeah, by saying thank you for joining us, for all those who did today and all those who are listening in later, as this is being recorded. And we will talk to you next month. And Dan, I will follow up with you early next week.
Much love and happy Thanksgiving. Or Valentine's Day. Whatever.
Happy, some holiday. Happy Valentine's Day to you too, Dr. Dan, and I hope you enjoy your very good dark chocolate.
Bye-bye, honey.
All right, bye.